Up, Rotogrinders? Happy Monday, 5 o'clock on the East Coast, talking some baseball, 6-game slate, kind of a small slate, possibly we'll see, stay tuned, shrink down to a 5-game slate. Arizona, Cincinnati is the reason why the lock is earlier today. It's 6:40 as far as game time in Cincinnati, but that game is currently orange, according to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. I'll go ahead and drop this link to the people in chat if you want to read it at your own leisure. The only game at 6:40, obviously, Arizona at Cincinnati. What's up, chat? Do hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't make me beg. Don't, Stevie, you don't want to beg we don't want to beg. And come on, just hit the like when you jump on. Just hit it. Like, what's the problem? Just one more click. Let's just knock it out.
I'm not begging for anything.
I don't. Never
hit the like and subscribe button. It will be worth it for you. I said, like, Dean. Are you a YouTube person? Do you like YouTube? I do. I watch a lot of YouTube. So I subscribe to probably 100 channels, and like it's who cares? Like, just do it. It helps people out. I mean, if you like the content, you're here. Obviously, you like the content, or you're here to make fun of us. Either way, just hit the subscribe button, like the video, and we're gonna bring some good takes. I think today. I think this is a interesting slate. That's the way I'm gonna put it. It's not my favorite slate, but I think there's a lot of ways to be different on this slate. So I think it's an interesting slate because of that.
You now you're getting tracked though. There's a whole algorithm based upon what you like, Stevie. Like they can look at your 100 channels that you happen to follow, and now they know exactly what commercials to throw your way. You know,
perfect.
all the.
Is that why I get so many disc golf commercials?
100%. I do not get any disc golf commercials.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That's big business, and like just information, they sell that stuff, and it's a big business there as well. I'm curious. What are some of the more random 100 channels that you follow? We have time, and chat. Let us know what's the more off the wall like YouTube like wormhole that you're willing to go down just randomly.
I mean, I watch a lot of disc golf content on YouTube, a lot, and I mean, for the longest time, like, Dude Perfect, Mr. Beast, those are two of my favorite YouTube channels. Guga Foods, if anybody that knows Guga Foods knows why you follow him. The content is fantastic.
Is that a person?
His name is Guga.
Okay.
But yeah, he does some really awesome content, and I follow a lot of just individual disc golfers like Brody Smith. I've been following Brody for a long time. He's like one of the reasons I started playing disc golf. I've been following him since like the Frisbee Trick Shock days. So yeah, I mean, mostly disc golf, nothing like too crazy. Like I said, Dude Perfect's probably my favorite YouTube channel. And some fantasy, some fantasy people. I follow some fantasy people. So
I may or may not have like spent like 2 hours the other day, like about digging into like Better Call Saul theories and like what may happen in the last 6 episodes or so. I'll get lost in things like that as well too. And like every once in a while, it's like you like watch the review. It's like, oh, I totally missed that. That's a good thing they pointed out. I'm glad. This is just we live different lives, Stevie, apparently, because we have different wormholes we go to.
Yeah, I like to be outside and you like to watch TV. I mean,
hey, did you start up Ozark? I know you asked me last time. Have you fired it up yet or no?
It is on the list. We are watching something. When we get through that, I think that's the next thing that we're gonna watch. We're gonna give it a go.
Give it a whirl. You'll like it.
Yeah, a lot of people have told us we need to check it out. So gonna give that a whirl. I'm trying to get my wife into watching like Star Wars. I really want to watch Boba Fett, and like I really want her to get into Star Wars so I can watch Boba Fett. So
yeah. Maybe you got to give a TJ a call to like somehow persuade her. TJ and his site, and he's always tweeting out about, and he'll be on later as well too. TJ Zwarych, he's on with Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. Should mention, by the way, the musings. If you guys are not premium members, the $1 Million Musings are free today for everybody. I'll go ahead and drop that link in chat as well too. Feel free to read that at your own leisure. You can listen to us and read it at the same time. I'm sure you can multitask. You make that work, but get yourself Dave Potts's $1 Million Musings. Not a full, you don't get the full Dave Potts effect because it's not like a 12 or 13 gamer, but he does a really, really good job as far as breaking down this slate. But TJ is a big fan of that Star Wars, and I think he actually does content when it comes to Boba Fett. It's just a big undertaking. There's so much Star Wars stuff. Like, it's a big commitment. There's like, at least 9 movies and all sorts of offshoots to it. So, but, we have time, I suppose, if you want to knock it out.
I feel like Star Wars is still kind of, it's still like right there. Like if you get into like Marvel, you have to watch like all these TV shows to understand like a movie that's coming out. Like that's a time commitment. Like if you're into that, like you're making a huge time commitment. So Dean, I haven't seen you. I was traveling for NASCAR last Monday. I know we do shows on Monday almost every week, but I was traveling back from the Coke 600. How about those Lightning? And how about those Celtics? And I'm a Magic fan. So I honestly, I didn't care who won between the Heat and the Celtics. I just thought the Celtics Warriors like series was just going to be fantastic. And honestly, it hasn't disappointed yet. So last night was, it was a close game, and then Steph Curry happened, but I think it's going to be a fantastic. Do you think it goes 7? I think it goes 7.
I think I originally said like Golden State in like 5 or 6, but yeah, it's probably not. Well, it's not going to be 5. It probably goes 6. Wouldn't be shocked if it goes 7. It should be a good series, And we got 2 of the better teams in the league. I'm happy. I'm not upset about the whole Miami thing. People saying I'm upset about it. Look, they did as well as they
lost.
They're 1 shot away. Yeah,
they lost. It was a good game, but they lost. And you move on to the next season. And I think if you're a Heat fan, we don't. The Panthers. It was. That wasn't even really a series, but the Heat series, it was good, and they just lost. The Celtics were the better team that night, and they lost. And as a Heat fan, I think you have to kind of be somewhat excited because you're going to be a top 3 team in the East again next year. And
this might be their ceiling, though. I don't know if the team is much better than this.
But do they get worse? They're not losing anybody, right? Like I thought I read something the other day. Everybody's under contract for at least 1 more year. So, basketball, like the playoffs have been so terrible. Like we're just sitting here going, all right, Boston and Golden State, like make up for this playoffs being absolutely terrible, right? Because it's just been awful. It's
been disappointing. In the regular season, I'm like, we're gonna have an amazing playoffs. There's so many good teams, and there's no clear favorite. And there's just so many blowouts and some injuries. It's been a disappointing playoffs. It's a good point. Yeah. But TJ in chat's correcting us. He's happy to show your wife, I believe, about and introduce to the Star Wars universe. 11 movies, 3 shows so far for Star Wars. Just a license to print money, that Star Wars franchise. Good for them. And you mentioned Mr. Beast. That guy, I don't know how, I don't know the backstory, but does some incredible stuff and gets the things that he does on, I assume he makes all the money back on advertising, gets 35, 40, 50 million views on his videos, but just awesome stuff. I know he does a lot of charitable things too, from what I've seen. So
yeah, I have a video queued up for tonight after dinner for Mr. Beast. We've been waiting for he's been like teasing his video that he was doing this month, like because he's at the point where he's just doing like one video a month now. But he's been like teasing like this Willy Wonka, like they recreated like Willy Wonka, and it posted yesterday. I can't wait to watch it tonight. So
I wonder how many views it already has already. Certainly in the millions, I would imagine. Oh, Hot Ones. That's a good one. You ever watch Hot Ones on
Yes, one of my favorites. What's your favorite?
I haven't watched the like Shaq was good on there. What's the chef's name? The guy Gordon Ramsay was pretty good.
His first one was the best. His second one was good. Don't get me wrong, but his first one, it has 38 million views, by the way, in 2 days. But yeah, the first Gordon Ramsay one was by far my favorite one, and I like Gordon Ramsay a lot. That's another that I subscribe to. But yeah.
This is a Eric Johnson fact in chat. Apparently, Mr. Beaks makes $54 million a year on YouTube. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I don't know
doubt
how.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. One video a month, and like he has like 3 or 4 different channels now, and like he doesn't spend any money on like 3 of the channels, and then he spends all the money on like one of the channels, and like he's got YouTube figured out. It's kind of like Do Perfect figured out YouTube a long time before everybody else. So yeah, man. I mean, it's great. But yeah, I mean, Hot Ones is fantastic. Have you ever tried any of the hot sauces from Hot Ones?
I'm a wimp, man. I have the worst palate. I can't even try the first one. Like I would, if I was ever big enough to be on that show, I would have to turn them down. I couldn't do it because Chris Kirkwood with a funny little one-liner in chat.
So Dean, I've been telling Devin, Grant does these shows every day, 5 days a week now. I've been telling Devin for like 6 months now. All he has to do is get Rotogrinders to like send me and Grant like the Hot Ones, and we'll do a Hot Ones show live during one of the shows. I'm in.
They like the very first season of Hot Ones, they were just like scrambling to get people to join that show. Like if you look at the status of celebrities have gone up so much more over the years. Like season 1, it's
like what are season 17 or 18 now? It's like
now you're getting like A-listers showing up to that show. Like
Post Malone just did it. His one was funny.
Yeah, and the interviewer is spectacular. Just asked incredible questions.
Oh, he's great, man.
Yeah, he's very good.
Great.
Can't remember his name. Evans? Is it something Evans? Sean Evans? Does that sound right?
Pretty sure.
There you go. Shout out to Sean Evans. You know what's amazing? Nobody in the chat has said, "Hey, let's get to the baseball. Well, let's not get. We're here for the next hour and a half. The crunch time crew is coming in about 50 minutes as well. This baseball slate is pretty straightforward. Again, 6-gamer as of right now. The Roth has the 6:40 game and Cincinnati game currently at orange. It's a weird slate, Stevie, where we have a bunch of like pitchers you really can't trust, but a bunch of pitchers that have upside to have big games. I don't know who the best one is amongst the bunch. When you figure a salary, the one that's going to pop the most is Blake Snell, and like Blake Snell chalk is always scary chalk, at least scary to me, because he can walk the 7, 8, 9 hitters, and like it wouldn't shock any of us, but he also can strike out 12 in 5 innings, wouldn't shock any of us. He is facing a Met team that's good. Doesn't strike out a lot, but it is worth noting they are not as good against lefties as they are against righties. They're fine against lefties, but their numbers against righties really popped this year. I think the best team in all of baseball this year from WRC Plus perspective. But 52% on DK for Blake Snell. And then we have Robbie Ray. We know the Robbie Ray effect, how that goes down. You can get 4 home runs and 8 strikeouts, and maybe possibly both. Hunter Green, if he goes, same sort of deal. He's striking out a good bit of people, walking too many guys, giving up too many home runs, and not the best ballpark to be settling in either. And then you have Christian Javier, who's like safer, air quotes. Carlos Carrasco, kind of, sort of, somewhat safer. San Diego, pretty bad against righties. Basically, it's a Machado and a bunch of dudes. I don't have a favorite. Today I was in the expert survey. I think you were as well, right, Stevie? The two of us were on expert survey. I had a hard time deciding who to write about as far as pitcher. Like, you got to write somebody up as like your favorite, but they're all kind of in the same bucket to me. Is that the way you feel as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 4 clear pitcher options on this slate. Snell, Ray, Carrasco, Javier. Safety wise, I think Javier is the safest. My favorite is Carrasco. San Diego, talent wise, if you look at the talent on the team, it's a tough matchup. But if you look at the numbers, he has the best matchup on the slate. They're 25th in WRC plus. They're last in home runs against right-handed pitching this season. Carrasco, not a guy that typically gives up a lot of home runs. He's not going to walk people. So I think Carrasco. I mean, he's in one of the better pitching ballparks on the slate. So, I mean, Javier and Ray have an extreme hitters umpire, big time extreme hitters umpire. So we don't have all the umpires yet, but I mean, I'm not overly concerned with the umpire for Javier or Ray because I mean,
Ray,
when you're just looking at what's that?
For Ray, I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I mean, but ceiling wise, those are the ceiling guys, right? Like,
yeah,
I like the Houston stack, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna, take some shots on Robbie Ray as well. Ray, I think I'd rank him fourth today. I think I'd rank Snell third. I think Carrasco and Javier are my two favorites. I like potentially stacking the Mets because Blake Snell is going to be 50 to 60% owned. I play 3-entry max contests, so I think Snell pushes maybe 65, 70% in 3-entry max contests today. So I'm definitely one of my three teams going to have a Mets stack today. I think that is the most leverage you can get on this slate from a whole. And I mean, Houston's a good stack. Angels a good stack. If Cincy game, like we were talking about it pre-show, and I don't know if you saw, I sent you a Slack message. FanDuel and DraftKings will give you like points for suspended games. So if we think the weather holds off till 9, that gives them like 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's 6-7 innings probably, Dean. Unless the offense is just rolling. And if the offense is rolling, like you're probably going to be good with your stack anyway. So, I mean, that potentially brings that in. And I can't wait to see what Roth has to say. But that, there's ways to be different. But pitching today, I mean, Snell, the Mets, like you said, they're not as good against left-handed pitching, and Snell could go out here and have a fantastic game. Or he can walk 4 or 5 guys, don't pitch deep, and the Mets stack works. So it's interesting. And you really want the Cincinnati-Arizona game to play. It's two of the worst bullpens in the baseball. It's two of the worst starting pitchers in baseball or in the slate. Like, Green has great strikeout stuff, but he can't throw strikes. So if he doesn't last long, then you're getting to the bullpen, and the bullpen in both of those teams is just terrible. So it's a fun slate. It's a really interesting slate.
You know what Green's home runs per 9 is this year?
2.4.
2.81.
I was close. It was just a random guess. I didn't even look.
I mean, that's 22% home run to fly ball, so a little bit unlucky. 6.19 as far as ERA. The Sierra is 3.72. The Ks are good at 29%. Of course, the walks is an issue at 10.9%. And he gives up a pile of fly balls at 51.1%. And again, if that game goes, by the way, I think it's worth noting, and I dropped this link in chat for the people as far as Ross weather update. He says, I won't read the entire thing, but models have pushed back the timing of the rain a bit. Main batch coming in around 8 or 9 instead of at first pitch. So I think what's interesting there is the game starts at 6:40 and it doesn't start at 7. So 8 or 9 sounds like, you're getting an hour, maybe 2, but it's starting 6. You're grabbing an extra 20 minutes. I'm not sure how that factors in, but those 25 minutes can matter, right?
It could be another inning. It could be another at bat for your hitter. I mean, so the risk is getting 3 at bats instead of 5. I think that is the risk, but I mean, you're getting 3 quality at bats if you're the Cincinnati bats in this spot. Arizona's 5th worst bullpen in baseball. The pitcher's not great. So, I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made for stacking Cincinnati and hoping the weather just pushes back another 30 minutes. You never know. I mean, it's weather. Kevin Roth is really good at what he does. So that's why I can't wait to see what he has to say.
Yeah, it is the first game too, and you can sort of react your lineups based upon how it's going too, I suppose. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Roth has to say. And we should say that he's jumping on in about 45 minutes or so with crunch time. The crew will be TJ Zwarych. You got Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood, 2-time millionaire winner, also joining the show in about 45 minutes as well. And that the other part of it is I think Hunter Green is playable because, of course he can give up 4 home runs. Of course he can walk 6 guys, and that's a problem. But he's kind of sort of basically like as volatile as We're talking about Ray. We're talking about Snell. I'm not saying he's as good as those guys, but we've seen him have those kind of games. He took a no-hitter in the eighth inning earlier this year. Really good skill set. His Arizona offense is not like amazing. And if nobody's going to play him, and if the game's canceled after an hour and a half or whatever it is, he's still pitching 6 innings. If he's pitching well, like who cares about the 7, 8, and 9? And if nobody's going to play him, I'm just kind of sort of waiting, and I want to see what we have as far as ownership. Let's give a refresh. Last I saw was like 15, 20%, which is not nobody, but we're talking about, 12 pitching options, but not really, because I don't think Stripling's an option, right? There's no chance you play Stripling.
We haven't seen like anything released as far as like pitch count, but before he went to the bullpen, his max was 84. He's maxed out about 40 for the last month. So I said on the morning grind, I think his max today is 70. There's an argument to be made to just hope that like he scores 15 at 5,800. But I think if the Cincinnati game is okay and we can get 5 or 6 innings out of Green, ceiling's way higher, even for a little bit more money. I don't think I play Stripling here to answer your question, but if you're playing 150 lineups, I don't think it's a bad idea to get like 5%, because I mean, the stacks that you can make with Stripling is just, it's fantastic. You're hoping for 75 pitches and 4 or 5 clean innings, 15 fantasy points.
75 sounds a little ambitious to me. He threw 38 last time out, 40 before that. Now there was
so he started the season in the bullpen, and his first start he threw 62 pitches when they moved him into the starting lineup. He's a lot more stretched out now. I think 70 is. I think it's possible. I think if I like, I'm going to pull up the bat because I'm super interested on the
65.
bat. But 65. I was going to say 60 to 70. I think is where he ends up.
What is a BPC? PPC is the pitch projection, right? Max pitch is 81. That's like if you want to be super, super ambitious, but he's got 64. Get the bat, support Derek Hardy. 64 and then 71. Yeah. So yeah, if you get it's possible, I suppose. He's also like not very good is another part of it. It's just,
but my question to you though is, if you could lock in 15 fantasy points right now from Stripling, you're done, right? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Without question.
I mean, I think at that point, like it's worth the risk.
Like Mad Bum, you're running some. I'm just kind of running through the guys. We can go backwards. Would you play Mad Bum today for Cincinnati?
No, he's terrible. I would play Stripling over Madison Bumgarner. Like, not even think twice about it.
I probably would. Yeah, I probably would as well. But I don't like either option. How about Lynch? Would you consider Lynch versus Toronto? Because I don't think I'm there either.
No. I'd play Stripping over Lynch. And like Lynch probably has a little bit more strikeout upside. But I mean, the lineup he has to face, the walk rate is one of the highest on the slate. The strikeout rate is one of the lowest on the slate. So yeah, no interest in Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, Lynch has got a big split, and he's facing he's vulnerable to power righties, and he's facing the Blue Jays, and enter the power righties right off the bat. I know the ballpark's not great, but there's a reason why Toronto's got the biggest team total on the board, 5.74. When we start talking bats, like Toronto's like going to be the clear team people go to. But I also think it's a really interesting slate to get away from that in tournaments because, Cheese is going to be on, and I know he hates the term leverage and people use it wrong and all that kind of stuff. And I'm curious what he has to say about it. And we've already kind of touched on it. Like the Mets seem like if you want to use the term leverage, an incredible leverage stack against what we might see 50% Blake Snell. And I think there's another one out there in the Astros against Robbie Ray. If Robbie Ray is going to grab a bunch of ownership, we've seen his implosion as well. 4.5 team total. Ray can give up homers. Ray can walk people. So I just think it's a really interesting slate. As far as other pitchers, we're kind of working backwards. How about your boy, Michael Wacha? Because I'm not in on Wacha.
I mean, the Angels are dealing with some injuries right now. The lineup isn't as good. Obviously, it's not out yet. It's just Wacha. I don't know. He struggles so much, but he also does a great job of like generating ground balls as well. So I think if BABIP's on his side, he could have a decent game. I mean, he's in that range though, where I think in tournaments you need more than 15 though. At 7,400, you probably need more than 15. So I think I'm more likely to play like a Syndergaard or a John Gray than I am to play like a Michael Wacha today.
Talk to me about John Gray. He's coming off a monster start last time out, 12 or 13 Ks. That's not John Gray. Like, that's kind of an outlier start. Good for him. But he's still way too cheap. I think he looks like an SP2 possibility here on DK. The Cleveland matchup, we know that they make contact a good bit, which is sort of troublesome. I'm pulling up the plate IQ specifically to this lineup today. And yeah, there's a couple of guys that will whiff. You got Hedges in there, you got Jimenez in there, and you didn't get Miller cracking that lineup. But Straw, Rosario, J Ram, Naylor, Gonzalez, Kwan, 5% as far as striking out versus righties and 121 at bats. It's not the biggest upside in the world. Not that you necessarily need it for that price, but your thoughts as far as Gray?
He's another guy. I mean, he has a 26% K rate on the season, and his 11% swing and strike rate means like he's getting swing and misses. It's just this team doesn't strike out. They're one of the toughest teams in baseball to strike out. They have the lowest strikeout rate in baseball against right-handed pitching. They are one of the top teams against right-handed pitching just in general. So, I mean, they're really just a tough offense to beat. I think if the BABIP is on John Gray's side, he could score 15, and he's 6,600. So goes back to that conversation of like Stripling. Would you be happy right now if you got 15 points? Like you click John Gray, the lineup blocks, and you get 15 points. Yes.
I'm good.
Yeah. Like that's how this slate is. I mean, so I think John Gray is okay. I think Syndergaard is okay. I mean, these guys are just cheap.
Those are 15 DK points, I presume, right? 15 Fanduel points is not good for me.
No. Fanduel's one pitcher site. You're playing one of the top four guys. I mean, don't overthink Fanduel. There's some cheap bats on Fanduel. Like, it's really easy to make it work on Fanduel. And there's some cheap bats on DraftKings that we'll talk about when we get there. But, Syndergaard is a guy that he's not striking out a ton of people, but he's limiting walks. The Red Sox, not a really high walk rate team. They do have a lot of strikeouts at the bottom half. And, like, he's another guy that could go out and put up 15 to 20 points here. So, I mean, he's in the conversation. And, like, as bad as this sounds, I don't think like on a 6-game slate, any pitcher is really Xable. I'm not playing Lynch. I'm not playing Madison Bumgarner, but I don't think anybody else is like, oh, I can't play this guy. I think, it's just one of those things. So
yeah, if you're running 150, whatever. And I see TJ talking about it, and he'll be on in a bit. He said, hot take, there are 0 pitchers today you can't play, weather permitting. I mean, I think that's more of a DK take than a Fanduel take, and I'm not sure if he's coming at it for both sites. But we'll talk about it as far as Fanduel and Snell over there is 7.5K, and that's why
he is going to be so popular on Fanduel today.
Which means you're not. He's 33% projected owned, and like in the single entry stuff, it should be even higher. At least my estimation. Javier's 1.5K more at 15%. Ray at 9.5, 14%. Carrasco 8.5 at 13%. And then like he's going to grab like almost 50% in my opinion. Like the really like in the single entry contest that I like, I'm going to try to find a way to get away from that. Like I understand why people are going to play him, but oh man, and just playing Alonso. We're playing both, and I think Tuttle made that case today in the survey. Playing both Snell and Alonso isn't crazy together.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's crazy when you stack against your pitcher, but taking a one-off against your pitcher on a 6-game slate, I don't think is crazy. But so my question for you, like this is Fanduel specific, because I think he's too expensive on DraftKings. But can you play Cal Quantrill on Fanduel today?
I don't want to.
So like, okay, it's really easy to play Snell and stack Toronto on Fanduel, right? Like that, it's really easy to do.
Yeah.
So everyone is stacking Toronto with Snell. I mean, you could just make your stack so different by just playing Quantrill, and it's $200 more. Quantrill can put up 35 against Texas. If Snell struggles, like you're so far ahead of the field if that happens. I don't think it's the craziest thing because you can have really like close lineups on Fanduel and just have like a 3%, 5% owned pitcher compared to a 50% owned pitcher. And if your stack still does well, you're just so far out if Quantrell outscores Snell. I don't think it's the craziest tournament idea.
Yeah, TJ is saying he'd rather play Stripling on Fanduel than Snell. And like, why can't I just get a better pitcher and just stack the Mets, which is essentially the same thing? Like, you're attacking Snell by not playing him. Essentially, you're kind of attacking him to some degree, right? Why don't I just play Mets and get myself one of the other three pitchers? I feel like that's a cleaner route. Maybe I'm wrong. And he'll come on here and speak for himself, obviously, but I think he's talking about from an MME perspective and the massive tournaments where you're looking to beat 30,000 people. And, I'll dabble in that stuff for funsies, but that's not where my main brain is at. Like, I guess if you're looking to be 30,000 people, sure, why not? But I don't think Stripling is going to get the quality start. I think he has essentially zero chance at a quality start. Can he go 6 innings and 70 pitches? I suppose you can thread that needle. I guess that's possible. That seems highly unlikely, though. By the way, 2 things in chat. Kirkwood took down a MMA tournament this weekend, so congratulations to him.
I saw that.
I didn't realize he's an MMA expert, and I believe Blender just joined the MMA team, so maybe there's a reason why that somehow you play any fighter you want. And then Kirkwood said Trout is awful and he's washed. I think he's talking about Mike Trout. I'm not sure if he's talking about.
I really think he's just trolling the chat.
He can't be serious. I know Trout's been like in a slump of late, but
I really think he's just trolling the chat. Like,
I don't know what he's doing, but I don't know.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think people are actually taking him serious. I'm not taking him serious. If he is being serious, I'll call him crazy to his face. But Trout, even with his struggles right now, Trout could hit 3 home runs tonight. No one would be shocked.
Yeah. Is there anybody else we didn't really kind of talk about as far as the pitchers? And I do want to focus on.
We didn't cover Javier a ton. I do think he is in play. Seattle is a much better offense than we give them credit for. Like, the numbers don't look fantastic, but their overall numbers this season, they've been solid. But Javier, he has a 31% K rate. He has a 41% strikeout rate against righties. They went pretty left-handed heavy today. So overall, I think Javier is he's in a great spot, and he's someone like you talked about on FanDuel. Like, if you don't want to play Snell, you can pay up for Javier or Carrasco and just do that kind of stuff. I don't think you have to go Stripling on FanDuel, because Stripling on DraftKings doesn't need to necessarily get the win or even go 5 innings to put up 15 points. On FanDuel, like, you just fall so far behind. So yeah.
We have some bots saying hello to us in the chat as well.
What's up, chat? What's up, YouTube? Hope everyone's having a great Monday. Hopefully everyone was out there banging chains Monday.
Doing what now?
Banging chains, Dean. Come on, man. I don't. I'm gonna come to South Florida. We're gonna play some disc golf.
Is that okay? Oh yeah, because the disc golf. Yeah, I actually know that when you make the frisbee. Or I'm sorry, is that an insulting term?
No, you can say frisbee.
Okay. That's the sound it makes when it goes in the hole.
That's right.
It chains
down
there.
Banging chains.
Yeah. It looks so hard. I've never played before, but it looks really tricky.
I'm gonna next time. So I have to come to Homestead. I don't have to, but I'm coming to Homestead for the NASCAR race towards the end of the season. So I'll get up with you, and maybe because I'll stay down there Sunday night because the race is at 4 or 5. But yeah, we'll get together on Monday or something, and we'll play some disc golf.
Do you know are they disc? I assume there's some disc golf courses down here. I've not.
There's not a ton of them. But yeah, we'll find a disc golf course by you.
Yeah, this weekend I watched a couple movies. I got people were very angry about this or upset that I've never seen Jurassic Park. I saw it for the very first time in my life in the year 2022. You know the movie about that. There's a movie about dinosaurs, Jurassic Park.
It's like an iconic movie though. I can't believe you're a movie buff, you're a show buff. I can't believe I'm not mad. I'm shocked more than anything else.
Yeah, I just never really. It's okay, they're dinosaurs. I get it. Newman's in it. Sure, cool. I suppose. Jeff Goldblum plays Jeff Goldblum.
So what do you think though? Scale 1 to 10. Did you give it an 8?
I'm sure now looking at it with 1993 eyes in a theater. I'm sure it was more impressive than, watching it in 2022 after I've been exposed to all the advanced technologies and things like that. It was fine. Will I see any of the sequels? I don't think so. I think I'm good. It was okay. I'm sure it was more impressive back in the day.
So if you watch any of this, watch Jurassic World. It was good.
Better?
Jurassic World was good. I think like I judging by like how you like movies, I think you'll like Jurassic World.
Okay. It's a general thing. I'm not a huge like action things are blowing up kind of guy. That's a general.
I think but you like quality, right? Like I think the quality of that movie is solid. So I think you'd like it.
I can appreciate it. I can appreciate Jurassic Park.
Like my wife went to school for like video and stuff, and like that she's into that kind of stuff. So like she you can appreciate like quality of movies. She teaches me every time we watch like a disc golf video or something. She's like, they could be doing that different. And like, yeah, she teaches me all kinds of stuff
about editing and like shots and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm watching that stuff too, as opposed to like, people get annoyed when I point out.
Like, I know you're watching that stuff. I said that's why I think you'd like it.
Like, oh, that was a one shot. They did that whole thing, like the whole 2 minutes, and they never cut away. And like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? You know what a cutaway is? Yeah, so these are the conversations I have when I'm watching. All right, give me the summary as far as pitchers, because it's I don't want to be well over the field on Snell. Like that's kind of where I'm at in tournaments. He just seems like whoever is the chalk is going to be bad chalk, because it's kind of where I'm at.
It's a 6-game slate. So right now I currently have like a Met stack on one of my 3 teams, and I have Snell on one of my 3 teams on DraftKings. On Fanduel, I play a single entry team, and I do not have Snell. Right now I have Kyle Quantrill, because the more I think about it, the more it's super interesting from a tournament perspective. But I think Ray, Carrasco, Javier, Snell above the others. No one is like a standout play today. Carrasco is my favorite. I think San Diego is overrated. They're struggling. They have a lot of injuries right now. Good ballpark. Carrasco's been solid. He hasn't been great, but he's been solid. If Kevin Roth gives us the thumb up for like 5 or 6 innings in the Cincinnati game, Hunter Gray becomes interesting green on FanDuel and DraftKings, because he's just so cheap. The strikeout upside's there. So if Roth, who's coming up after us here, gives us a thumbs up on this game just getting 5 or 6 innings, I think that's when Green becomes interesting, because honestly, Hunter Green's probably not going more than 6 innings anyway. So
Green doesn't matter.
Game becomes official at 5 if they're winning, which they should be, because Madison Bumgarner stinks. Hunter Gray gets 5 innings and he wins the game. And I mean, he becomes very viable if he gets the strikeouts. He's going to give up some runs. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where I'm at with pitching.
Why did the D-backs sign? They want old, terrible lefties. They signed Dallas Keuchel. Like, what is the point? Just to eat some innings, and they don't want to bring up somebody in the minors to get.
I also feel like they feel like their home ballpark with the humidifier or whatever, when the roof is closed, like having a ground ball pitcher is not a bad idea in that ballpark. Keuchel, Keuchel's going to go out and throw a ton of ground balls. He's not good anymore.
I think the White Sox are eating like $40 million or something like that. They just said, we can't do this anymore. They had him for at least one more year, I believe. And I think they're on the hook for like 40 mil, give or take. Like Washington with Corbin, like they're on the hook for like 40 million as well. And they're not going anywhere anyway. So maybe they just keep throwing them out there, but what a disaster that is. All right. Give me your thoughts as far as favorite stacks. I know we've kind of touched on it a little bit. We're going to go around the horn in a second as well. Give your favorite plays at each position. Biggest team totals on the board. We talked about Toronto at 5.74 against Daniel Lynch. Not the greatest ballpark in the world, but you are locked in for 9 innings. And, a lot of power potential against Lynch, who's vulnerable to power righties. 10 total in that Cincinnati game, with Cincy getting over 5 runs against Mad Bum is kind of interesting. Good offenses, not in amazing spots. Like, Boston, good offense against Syndergaard. The Angels, at least the front half is pretty solid. And in Houston against Ray, good offense. Mets, good offense against, pretty good pitchers. I think it's more interesting making stacks today as opposed to picking pitchers. You tell me, who are some of your favorite stacks before we go around the horn?
So, I mean, I'm with everybody else. I think Toronto's the best stack on the slate today. I don't think it's that close. I think they're top, I mean, I like the Angels. I like Houston. I like Boston. I like the Mets. If the Reds game plays, I like both sides of that game. Green is someone that could potentially walk people and get a lot of base runners on for a couple big hits. So if the Reds are good, again, like you're potentially losing like 3 innings. And I think when you're stacking, how many times, I mean, have you won a tournament because a guy hit a second home run, a meaningless in the 9th inning up by like 6 or 7 runs, home runs. So just don't let it be Fernando Tatis because, oh my gosh. You ever seen that video clip of when he hit a home run? It was like 11-2 or something. And like the opposing coach, because it was a 3-0 pitch,
ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. If it was me, I wouldn't have apologized to anything. And I would have, like, every time I was up in the count against that team, tried to hit a home run. So, like the unwritten rules of baseball. And I love baseball. I played baseball for a long time. Some of them are just so dumb. So dumb. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, I think, honestly, I think the Mets are just the best leverage stack on the slate because Snell is going to be so popular. So I think they're interesting for that. But I think Toronto, the Angels, Houston, and they're the 3 best teams if the Cincinnati game is not a good game.
Again, we have 52% for Snell on DK as far as ownership right now, 38% for Javier, 26 on Ray, 20 on Carrasco, 19 on Green. Of course, that's weather pending. And Gray at 13 seems a little low, to be honest. We'll see. And Syndergaard at 10, and it kind of tapers off there to single-digit stuff. Give me your favorite catcher of the night. And I think the best catcher is probably Varsho if he goes, or if that game does go, leading off versus Green. Well positioned for a dinger just to start the game. If you want to use that as a spend up spot, by all means, go for it. On Fanduel, I believe he's an outfield eligible too, I want to say. Your favorite catcher this evening?
I mean, I think if you want to spend up to get Kirk or even Salvador Perez, I think like those are spend up options. If you want to save some money today, I think Sam Huff, he's 2,600. He's batting 6 for Texas. They're on the road in Cleveland. Kyle Quantrill is solid, but I mean, he's just cheap. I mean, and anybody that knows me knows that I love punting catcher. Martin Maldonado, batting 9th against Robbie Ray. Just any catcher that's cheap. Jose Herrera, if that Arizona game goes, the only problem with him, like if we do get late rain, he's batting 9th. You could potentially lose like 2 at bats from him. You could only get maybe 2 at bats from him. So I think if I was going to punt today, it's Sam Hum or Thomas Nitto. And if I'm paying up, I think if I'm paying up today, Alejandro Kirk is my favorite.
Yeah, honorary member of Team Girth. He's a Husky fella. And don't forget, I'm not sure if I mentioned Sal Perez, but for sure, Sal Perez, I'm okay spending up there as well. Would you be able to explain in the simple terms, I suppose? I see somebody asking in chat how leverage will be calculated, and you can pull up our Slate IQ tool if you want to do such things. But how do you define it? Because I know it's said many different ways, and a lot of times it's said incorrectly. But what is leverage to you? How would you define what that means?
I mean, for me, looking at Blake Snell, right? Because I keep saying it, Blake Snell is projected for 50 to 60% owned tonight. And like going in that so many people are going to be playing him that like the Mets, no one on their team is projected for more than 3% ownership today. Even Alonso, like who
that's going to change.
So I mean, for me, when I'm looking at leverage, I'm looking at like a massively chalk-owned pitcher, and I think an offense that is actually good. I mean, there's some times where we have like 60% owned pitchers against Oakland, where it's like, okay, the leverage is not stacking Oakland. The leverage is maybe finding a pitcher in the same range that has the same type of ceiling to score the same amount of points. So, today, I think, like I said, I think the best leverage today is stacking the Mets because I think they're a good enough offense to score on Snell. And I think that pitching is just trash today. There's not like, I can play Christian Javier to pivot off of Snell. Well, he's just as chalky. Carrasco is just as chalky. Robbie Ray is just as chalky. You can get leverage against Robbie Ray. He's going to be projected for 25 to 35% ownership, but his problem, where the difference is, like, Houston actually has some ownership today. So I think just kind of looking at it that way, I think it changes for every sport too. I think leverage for every sport could be different. You could have a 50% owned running back in a fantastic spot and find a 5% owned running back in the same spot, or just, in maybe a tougher spot and gain leverage that way. So I think it changes every sport.
Yeah. Or you play the receivers in a team that's got 50% owned running backs, and hopefully they throw 3 touchdown passes, that kind of thing.
Yep.
90 days, is it, like, give or take, or it's around the corner, man? We're closing in on the NFL season. That'll be fun.
Have you got into the USFL or whatever?
No, I think I played an opening weekend, and then they're reporting the way this league is doing everything possible to, like, not get people to care, and they don't even cater to their biggest audience, like gamblers and DFSers. They put out misinformation or a lack of information. That they're suppressing points. Like, what? People like scoring, and it's really, really odd. And I've not focused on it a ton, but, like, from what I've seen, like, they've had players listed as out that play, players listed as in that don't play, they're injured, and, like, you can't do that. You're going to turn people off. I gave it a week, and then I also saw, like, the contests out there. I don't like top heavy contests, and that's basically what they have on DK. So I just it's not for me. How about yourself?
I've not watched any of it, and I probably won't.
Well, that's the other thing, is, like, don't hire Jeff Fisher. I don't want to see a team run the ball 27 times in a row. I want to see, like, give me like a Pac-10 style or Big 12, just a shootout, like 45. Give me something fun, something different. And they just give you a terrible, terrible brand version of the NFL with more running. Like, who wants that? All right. First base, who do you like?
Well, I mean, obviously I like Pete Alonso. We were just kind of talking about him a minute ago. I think he has big upside. Vlad, I think, is one of the highest, like, one of the best plays on the entire slate. So he's obviously in the conversation. Ohtani, you're probably playing him more at outfield. And then, I mean, if you're stacking the Angels, Jared Walsh at first base and then Ohtani in the outfield seems to be, like, the way that you're going to kind of approach that. On Fanduel, I like Josh Naylor a lot today. I think he goes yard. I really just have, like, that gut feeling that Josh Naylor hits a home run today. And he's a lot easier to play on Fanduel at, like, outfield / first base than he is at first base on DraftKings. But yeah, he's someone else that I think hits a home run today. So yeah, I mean, first base is kind of loaded. Ty France has been crushing the ball. Gary L against Robbie Ray, if you're stacking Houston. Matt Duffy could potentially hit leadoff. You're probably playing him more at third base, though, because he doesn't have as much ceiling as some of these other first basemen. So yeah, I think this is solid.
Padres lineup came out. Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Voit, Hosmer, Kim. The new Padre, Mazzara, Alfaro, and Grisham is the official lineup for San Diego. All right. Second base, keystone position. Who are some of your favorites at second?
I mean, Jose Altuve, if you want to play him against Robbie Ray. If we get the green light in the Arizona game, Ketel Marte. Outside of that, it's kind of just whoever fits. I mean, the Toronto second baseman, was it Espinano or whatever? I think he is. Yeah, he's solid. He's cheap. He's cheap enough. It's just like whoever kind of fits at second base today. Maybe Duran because he's 2K. Both Durans are cheap today. Just one's probably going to hit leadoff, and then one's going to be way down there.
So my bold call today in the expert survey, I'm not sure if you saw it, but
I did.
The
2
Duran,
home runs and 2 stolen bases. Yeah.
We got 2 homers and 2 stolen bases. The Duran that's been called up for that's on Texas, Ezekiel, close to a 2020 last year in the minors. I think this is a jump from AA. He did bang out a homer the other day too. I think he's in his second or third game, batting 8th versus Cal Quantrill, not somebody that I'm afraid of. And he's super, super cheap. I'm definitely going to be using him on DK to some degree. And you mentioned Duran for Boston. He's got wheels, and he's going to use them if he gets on base. I may or may not have wagered American dollars on him stealing a base tonight at plus 650 or plus 700 against Syndergaard, who gives up stolen bases to anybody that gets on base. I'm very excited to see, hopefully, Duran leading off and getting a couple cracks at Syndergaard because he's probably the worst pitcher in baseball holding on runners. Snell's another guy that's bad at holding on runners too, for what it's worth. If you want to roster some stolen base guys and, potential jack in the bag for Lindor or Marte, even though he's a lefty, he's bad at holding on runners. And I think this is in my head. Is this right that Ray is also bad at holding on runners, or is that just in my head?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Surprisingly, another lefty, not very good at that. Let's, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say really quick. I was reading Kevin Roth's weather update. We didn't really talk about like the weather in Cleveland, but I mean, even that game has some risks. So my Cal Quantrill Fanduel might be off now, Dean. The weather like might officially scare me off of that spot.
We have Nick in chat today. Just checked the weather in Cleveland. No chance they play dog. Okay. Well, we'll see what Roth has to say. Roth will be on in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And
no offense, Nick. I'm gonna listen to Kevin Roth.
I don't know if he's got boots in the ground or if he's on the ground, but yellow orange as of like an hour ago. And the closer we get to game time, let's see, is this stuff? Oh, you know what? It's orange yellow now. I just hit the old refresh button.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nick might be onto something because it could be getting a little dicier there. And we're going to be ownership stuff is going to get squeezed. So understand that the less games we have, the more ownership's going to get pushed up. Like, duh. By the way, Ray last season gave up 25 stolen bases. That is a lot. That's a lot of steals.
When you said that, I thought like it rang a bell.
Yeah. Because you remember the lefties that give up stolen bases. It's like, oh, that's just sort of weird. Traditionally, lefties are better holding on runners than righties. 6 this year in 65 innings. So yeah, if you're looking for some betting props out there, I like Duran to steal a base tonight at like 7-1. If you want to get really goofy, Cordero's like 12-1 and Story is like 5-1. I think I saw Marte at 4 or 5-1. I don't recall what it was, but I don't mind that either. If he gets on, he might try to swipe it back tonight as well against Snell, who's also pretty terrible at holding on runners. I can pull that up in a second if the people want. I'll do that as you jump the third.
I mean, Chapman, he hasn't had a great season, but throughout his career, he's been great against left-handed pitching. I liked Jose Ramirez, but the weather has me somewhat concerned. Kurt is killing me in chat right now. I like Devers a lot.
He's like, there's no lake though, unfortunately. Yeah,
I like Devers a lot. If Cincinnati's good, Drury is someone that's really good against lefties. He's hitting second against Bumgarner tonight. Bregman, I think Bregman ownership is going to go up. That's something we can kind of agree on, right? Like Houston ownership just in general is probably going to go up, especially if like Cleveland and Cincinnati has more risk to it. So yeah, I think almost every third baseman is playable today. JD Davis could hit 4th or 5th against Snell, for that Mets, leverage stack. So yeah, I mean, we talked about Duran at second base. I think I'd play him more at second base. By the way,
Duffman is leading off. You're talking about the Angels. You got Duffy leading off, Ohtani, Trout, Walsh, Stassi, Marsh, Rengifo, Adele, and Velasquez. You like that lineup?
I like the stack. I mean,
yeah.
For the Angels, you're just stacking, right? You're just hoping Walker doesn't pitch well, and you're hoping that you get to the Boston bullpen. They've been very mediocre this season, and like the Angels bullpen's been terrible this year. So I mean, that whole game has so much potential today.
By the way, if you want to
did you say Joe Odell was in the lineup?
He's batting 8th.
Oh, I wish he was hitting higher.
Yeah. Has he not been on the team? Has he been in the minors? Did it recently call him up? I feel like
it's been a mix. Like I think he went back to the minors early May, and he just got called back up over the weekend. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they played him a little bit there. 2.5K on DK, batting 8th in that lineup. If you want,
Rendon Ward being out, I think helps him get lineups or like time in the lineup.
You see, producer Steve is showing off some of our fabulous tools here. I see people asking in chat, "What's the ownership for this? What's the umpire data for that?" You can have all this stuff at your own leisure. Of course, you can get yourself RT Premium as is. By all means, we encourage you all to do that. But if you want to just win it, if you want to win yourself, I believe it's going to be a week free of Rotogrinders Premium. How do you go about doing that? Are you interested? Do I have your attention? Go to our Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. Hit the party thing. Party favor. It's a not a bell. I called it a bell one time and Devin lashed out at me. It's not party pooper, but it sounds like party pooper. What is it called? A party with it also starts with a P. Steve, you got anything for me? You gonna help me out with what it's called? Party popper. Thank you. Producer Steve coming in clutch. Why can't I remember that word? I just want to add the extra O there, I suppose. Hit the party popper in the Rotogrinders Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. Hit that button and you'll get yourself, party popper, you'll get yourself a potentially, not guaranteed, but a chance to win RG Premium. There you go. It's right there in chat. Thank you, Devin, for dropping it for the people. By the way, coming soon. It's in the works, Stevie. People are going to be able to take me on head to head and for the opportunity to win some RG Premium. No pressure on my end. I'm willing to tank too. Slide into the DMs, and I may tank. I may go into tank mode. We'll see. No. We're coming out strong. We're going to take everybody down. But that's going to be a thing as well. Also, Stevie, get excited. I might be getting my own Discord channel, free for the people, talking all sorts of nonsense. So lots of fun going on in the Discord channel. Let's jump over to shortstop, Stevie. Favorite shortstops tonight?
I have my own Discord channel.
Is that premium though?
Yeah, it is premium.
NASCAR, yeah. Mine's not. I'm a man of the people, Stevie.
I'm not. I am. I talk, man. I talk in so many Discord channels. Like if we had like a counter on like how many Discord like messages were in the Rotogrinders Discord, I bet you I'd be up towards the top. I don't know if we can like. I'm a Discord admin. I don't even know how. Like I'm sure I could probably figure that out. But anyway, Bichette, right? Like Bo Bichette, Corey Seager. Now, like man, this weather in Cleveland kind of messes up the slate a little bit. Like if that game doesn't play, it takes out some good bats. Like, you know, we mentioned Corey Seager, we mentioned the punt catcher, Sam Huff. It takes that, like it changes the slate if that Texas Cleveland game is a no-go. So pay attention to that. Obviously, we'll have to see what Roth has to say, but his update scares me. The update didn't sound good. Like the Cincinnati update was like kind of positive, and the Cleveland update was like, to me. So I mean, Bichette, if you're stacking the Mets, Lindor, Xander Bogaerts against Syndergaard. Bogaerts is going to be pretty low on tonight. So who's catching for the Angels? For some reason, I do not see the Angels lineup.
I just read it off a few minutes ago. Stassi. We talked about Stassi's your catcher. So
I like Stassi at catcher now.
TJ in chat says he wants his own Discord channel. Hey, you're welcome to hang out with you know what? We should give RG Premium to you can name, like, give me the name of my Discord channel, the one that if I pick it, if I like it, I'll give you a week free of RG Premium. I know a guy. I can make this stuff work. What should it be called, Stevie? What should my Discord channel like be? Because Grant's got his action lounge, Chief's got his prop shop. You have your NASCAR thing. I don't know what it's called. What should
called the NASCAR channel?
Okay, that was close. Judges gave it to me, I think. What should my channel be called?
Let me think on it. Like, we have a few minutes before crunch time gets in here. Before we get out, I'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll talk movies and things. Me and TJ, I slid into TJ's DMs the other day asking him about the MLB The Show. Do you dabble in the show or video games and things of that sort?
I don't have time anymore.
You know,
the two-kid life, man. It changes those kind of things.
Who are your favorite outfielders this evening?
I mean, Springer's my favorite play on the entire slate. But outside of that, I mean, I think it's just really going to be whoever's in my stacks. I love Trout. Obviously, I like Ohtani. If that Cincinnati games that go, I love Tommy Pham against Bumgarner. We mentioned Duran. He's super cheap. I really liked... I mean, Joe Odell, I liked him before we found out where he was going to hit. But, I mean, Duran's just so cheap. He's a good value play. Senzel is a good value play. If that Cincinnati game is a go, he's hitting leadoff against Bumgarner. So, Mark Canha, if you're playing the Mets, you know, going up against Snell, he should be in the lineup. He should have a good lineup spot. He's cheap. So, I think it's more of just kind of who's in there. I mean, the Toronto outfielders, the Angels outfielders, the Red Sox outfielders. I like all those guys.
Let's see. Some people are throwing out some potential options. Dean's Dumpster. I'm not sure if we're going to use that one. Dean's Disciples. Dean's Dungeon. Dean Checks In. Is that a play on Dunstan Checks In, that movie about Jason Alexander and a monkey in a hotel? Is that what we're doing there, Doug? Dean's Focus Channel. Dean's Daily Dose. Chat with Mean Dean. Dean's Dino Chat. The Mush Zone. Of course, Kirkwood went with that one. 10%. Just call it 10%.
I do like the 10%. I was going to make a joke on that, but I didn't.
Team Girth. Sample size matters. All right, we have all sorts of options. I appreciate these are all be under consideration, strict considerations. Dean's Daily Surveys, Discord. All right, yeah, lots of good stuff in there. We do have the Crunch Time team in about 5 minutes or so. You all want to hear what Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth is going to have to say about what's going on weather-wise in several games. We have the Cincinnati game and the Cleveland game, and it's worth noting, by the way, if we somehow lose both those games, Stevie, the slate doesn't start till 8:10. So, we might just be staring at watching a tarp and just waiting.
I think they would have postponed the Reds game already if they were going to postpone that game.
Okay. Yeah. And, again, usually my understanding is the radar stuff, it gets updated every hour, top of the hour. So maybe something new radar-wise is coming in Cincinnati. Something new radar-wise is coming down in Cleveland as well. Let's give the people some homers. Hey, before TJ comes in, and TJ has this way, he's more charming than I am. That's okay. I can accept that. He has this way of getting people to hit that like button. He's going to drop his Spidey bombs. Let's start him off with a good number so he doesn't have to do as much legwork, and it looks good on us, Stevie. So hit that like button. Do subscribe. You don't have to do that. We appreciate that. But the key is hitting that like button. Let's get those likes up. The more likes we get, helps out in the analytics and all that good stuff. Stevie, give me some homers. 3 guys that are going to bang one out tonight. Who do we have?
I don't know. Springer for sure. If I'm going expensive, Springer. I don't want to pick 3 Toronto guys. So give me Springer, Chapman, and I still think Joe Adell's hitting a home run tonight.
Man, I like Varsho a good bit. If that game goes, Ketel Marte. I like some of those power bats in the Arizona side. I don't mind Walker either. Good ballpark, and just Green gives up so many homers. Franks and Deans. I see what you're doing there, Jason. That's pretty good. All right. There's a lot of suggestions. We do appreciate that. And again, the Crunch Time crew, my understanding, they'll be here in just a couple minutes or so. Is there somebody, Stevie, that you're afraid of not having enough of, or just fading? Is there a certain player? Is there a certain team, a certain pitcher where you're you know what? I know this guy can just kill me, but I'm only making so many lineups. This doesn't work salary wise. He's going to be crazy owned. I'm just going to be on the other side of it. Hopefully variance is on my side, but do you have somebody out there where you're I'm probably not getting to this guy. I hope he doesn't kill me. I'm very concerned that this is what is going to do me in tonight. Who's that?
Snell. I'm taking a stand on Snell for sure. I'm going to take a stand with the Mets with Snell. I don't know. I'm reworking lineups right now because I'm taking out Cleveland, Texas bats because Roth has me scared. But maybe, gosh. So I would say Snell, and I'd say Cincinnati, Arizona in general. Because if that game just gets 6 or 7 innings, it could be 9-7 in 7 innings of that game. Yeah.
By the way, is my camera kind of funky? According to Nacho Man Sandy Cabbage, my camera is on 360p. Oh yeah. Well, I get where it's going on there.
Clean your camera once in a while.
Does it look funky? I apologize.
It does. It's very blurry. I was trying to think of a really good name with Biff in it from Back to the Future.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But I couldn't think of anything clever, man.
A Gray Sports Almanac pun. That's good. I like that. What do we do with that?
I don't know. I was trying to think of something funny, and I couldn't think of anything because Back to the Future. There's the Chicago Cubs stuff, and I couldn't think of anything good.
The Cubs beat Miami in the World Series, and Miami, of course, at that time did not exist when that movie came out. Which is and they ended up they played in the NLCS. That was the Bartman series, which is so silly to say it's the Bartman series because he's not the reason why they lost. I just love the name Nacho Man Sandy Cabbage. That's my favorite random name in chat. That's pretty good. You understand what's going on there, right? You're aware of the wrestler from the 80s?
Yeah, man.
That's what I wanted you to say.
I got you. It took me a second.
Yeah. So my apologies for the blur. I should have done the white balance deal earlier in the show. Now it's, whatever. We're pot committed to it.
We need to get you some lighting so people can see the mustache more.
It's so gross, man. Somebody else mentioned it in chat as well. And it's me and Chop and Kirk Dees had a conversation about mustaches on a show about 2 weeks ago or so. This is maybe 2 weeks in the works. It's bad. But it's also like an homage that it's coming back. It's the 2022. The mustache is back. Have you seen Nestor Cortez? Have you seen Matt Carpenter?
Matt Carpenter's banging some home runs.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's.
I always have a mustache, so doesn't really change for me.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before, but I'm definitely jealous. You can make that going on. I don't know how to. This is like 2 weeks, and it's like comes in like this weird color I can't even describe.
This is like 2 months, I think.
Oh, geez, the whole thing is 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is.
But like it's summer in Florida again, so it's gonna be shaved here very, very soon.
What else is going on, chat, that we should sort of mention? All right, we got Dave Potts coming in casually late, I suppose. Maybe a little tricky as far as communication. We don't know what's going on with this 6:40 game. Roth is going to be in shortly. Going to tell us what's going to go down weather-wise tonight. TJ Zwarych, he's been hanging out to my diaper dandies. I'm stealing. That's a gimmick infringement. I can't call it Dean's diaper dandies because that's Dickie V's. That's his deal, right? So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But I do appreciate the examples that people are throwing out there. All these will be under strict consideration. Trying to figure out what the name of the event.
I wish I could think of a good Biff one, man. All it's telling me is I need to go watch Back to the Future again.
Back to the Future 2, yeah. Third one is kind of forgettable. We can kind of forget that happened, right?
Yeah.
First two are really good though.
The first one I think is still the best.
Yeah, it's
so hard to make a good second movie sometimes though, when the first one's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm told people have said the Top Gun sequel far exceeds the original. That's one of the.
Have you ever seen the original?
Many years ago, and I'm not certain it's that good. Like I know people are nostalgic for it, but I'm not certain it's good.
Yeah.
We like the gifts and all that, but is it a good movie? I don't know. I'm not certain. Did you like? I guess you're a fan. Have you watched it as an adult?
I'm a fan. I probably watch it once every like 2 months. It's one of those movies where if it's on TV, I'll watch it when I'm doing some work. Like I always have like my TV on when I'm doing like work, and just for sound purposes, for like noise purposes. And it's one of those movies where I'll be working and I know a part and I'll look up and watch it or something. Like Days of Thunder is a movie like that. Like I watch Days of Thunder probably once a month, maybe even more than that. Like The Replacements. Have you ever seen The Replacements?
Oh yeah, of course. Keanu Reeves.
That's another one that's probably like a once a month movie. Yeah.
Is that your favorite football movie?
I don't know if it's my favorite. I don't know if I have like a favorite football movie. I love, there's a lot of movies that I like a lot. But I mean, it's the football movie I probably watch the most.
Why is Shane Falco not in the USFL? He would crush there, right?
I know. I have a couple really cool Shane Falco shirts.
Well, that's
yeah.
Derek in chat asked an important question as we're killing time here. What's the worst baseball movie? And I think I have the answer.
Mr. 3000.
Not the worst. No, I mean, I've seen it. I got a worse one for you. Matt LeBlanc, the star of Friends, I believe he's a pitcher. And there's a monkey named Ed that plays third base. He plays the hot corner.
That one is terrible too.
What's your favorite have a monkey in the team? Third base is an important position to cover. I'd stick him like a right fielder and hopefully nobody hits it out there. But that's a tough position to play as a monkey. Like,
what's your favorite baseball movie?
It's I got several that are popping in my head. I think Field of Dreams is on the podium, but you know what? This might be a hot take. I think number one, League of Their Own.
I love League of Their Own. My favorite baseball movie is Summer Catch. It's really like the movie. I mean,
with Freddie Prinze Jr. and then Matthew Lillard. What?
Yeah, Sandlot, I think, is podium. Love Sandlot. Major League, like the first one was hilarious. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I'm not
good,
gonna argue with
good
you.
one. One of my favorite like serious baseball movies, though, For Love of the Game. I really, really liked that movie. That was a really good movie.
That was Kevin Costner.
Kevin
He
Costner.
threw it.
Fever Pitch. I'm a Red Sox fan, so Fever Pitch.
Starring Drew Barrymore. They actually ran on the field when they won the championship. You know, if you actually watch the game against St. Louis, like it's what is Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore doing in the celebration when they were filming Fever Pitch? TJ, Coach Carter is a basketball movie. Come on, TJ. That's his favorite basketball movie. Eastbound and Down is not a movie, but it's a
he did say favorite sports movie, though. He didn't say just baseball. He said favorite sports movie. I didn't know. And that wasn't the question that I asked you, but he did say favorite sports movie.
8 Men Out's a good one as well, too, about the Black Sox scandal. I'll give that one as well. Moneyball. Moneyball's one of the best baseball movies. Yeah.
Moneyball is good. Have you ever seen Hardball?
Oh yeah, a G baby. Oh, it's such a sad
first time
scene.
I ever watched that movie, I cried. I'm not even afraid to like say it. I legit cried the first time I watched the movie. It was rough.
It was sad. That's another.
It was. Listen, all these people in chat right now, like there's a ton of people commenting movies. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Like we have a good conversation going about movies. And
this is the thing that I will talk about in my Discord. By the way, this is
I can't imagine. Like when I need to like just kill some time, I'm just gonna hang out in Dean's Discord because, yeah, I mean, man, some of the good recent like baseball movies, 62, 61.
Wait, the Roger Maris one that came out, that was an HBO
movie.
Or
42. 42 is the recent one. Robinson. 42 is the recent one. 61's good. Trouble with a Curve wasn't bad.
Is that Justin Timberlake?
Brad, yeah. Moneyball with Brad Pitt.
All right, here comes the.
They can join the conversation. I'm super interested to know, like, what do you think Cheese's favorite baseball movie is?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say it's one we haven't talked about yet. I'm gonna say it's The Natural. It might be Field of Dreams though, because he's a father as well too, and there's a father-son kind of bond. I don't want to give anything away as far as the movie, but I think it's one of those two. We can ask Dave. But what do you think? I'm gonna
go. He goes serious and goes like For Love of the Game or League of Their Own.
It'd be amazing if it was basketball. I would love it.
I like that movie, man. That movie is hilarious.
I believe.
Did we mute him?
I just muted myself. My apologies.
All right. I was like, perfect. We finally got it. But Roth, give us the goods on the Cincinnati Cleveland game, man. Like your update for Cleveland, like got my stomach all messed up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have the goods yet, and I don't know if I will. I don't know. I really don't like Cincinnati. I could see a way where they delay halfway through the game and then finish in light rain, but it's really risky. And then Cleveland is going to play or miss based on like a mile or two of this line of storms. And I don't know. I don't know yet. And I hope I can figure it out in the next 20 minutes or so. Hey, let's talk about fun things. Cheese, what's your favorite baseball movie?
Major League.
Yeah. All right. You went funny. I thought you were going to go serious.
I was going to say I thought yours would be The Natural or Field of Dreams. Are you a fan of
The Natural would be number 2. Okay. And on a different day, depending on what mood I'm in, I might have said Natural first.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. TJ, favorite baseball movie?
Basketball.
Is that baseball? I guess
I'm leaving. All right, that was it for me. You guys have fun. Hey, Roth, how about those Lightning and those Panthers? Right. Bye, Dean.
Yeah. Sorry, Dean. Yeah. Lightning are going to come back and win the series against New York too, so I feel pretty good about it. Thank you, Steve.
My favorite baseball movie is Benchwarmers.
No, come on, with David Spade.
Oh, great film.
It's not your favorite though.
Film.
It is.
And he calls it a film on top of that.
It's cinema. It's cinema.
Yes.
It's cinema.
Benchwarmers is cinema.
Oh, man. Stevie's wife, who she's took schooling on cinema, she'd be outraged if you're calling that cinema. That's a callback to those watching the show a half hour earlier. But Roth,
Dean,
the people.
Dean, can you guess my favorite baseball movie before we go through this?
Let's see. Little Big League.
I don't even know what that is. No.
Seventh inning fetch starring Air Bud.
Wow. You started with an S and I thought you had it. And then you went fully to left field with Air Bud.
Greatest athlete ever in film.
Sandlot.
Yeah, overrated.
Yeah, but fun, nostalgic, and just a general good time, which is what I'm all about.
All right, fair enough. Well, Roth, the people are going to want a little bit more as far as weather. Hopefully you get a little bit more clarity as this slate goes through, but 6:40 as far as the first game in theory tonight in Cincinnati, and we'll keep an eye as far as the tarp's on, the tarp's not, or they're expecting to go. Do appreciate y'all watching the first half here of the Rotogrinders show, and now we're going to start officially the crunch time portion with his chief meteorologist, Kevin Roth. You got Dave Potts. His article is free today, by the way. If you've not seen it, check out the musings. That is free. We'll go ahead and drop it in chat, as well as TJ Zwarych. I'm stepping aside. Take it over, Roth.
Okay. Appreciate it, Dino. As always, welcome to it. This is indeed Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel. If you are reading Cheese's musings, I feel like you had to do it earlier, right? This is something that you want to sit down and enjoy. You don't want to like speed read the musings while doing something else, right, Cheese?
Yeah. And it's very much it's the big picture breakdown. It's not where you go if you're like, I got 20 minutes. Who do I play for this lineup? For that, you want to go to like the expert rankings or maybe the survey if you're kind of like, or lineup HQ. Mine is more, you need to read it a little earlier.
Yeah. And just like sit down and enjoy it. It's fun. It's interesting. You learn about the game and you learn about theory, but also you laugh at stupid crap that Cheese writes. Like it's a very fun article, but it's not something that you want to do multitasking, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. But anyways, I love it. I love that we made it free. I hope people did get to take advantage of it. And if not, I hope we do it free again sometime in the future. Anyways, if you haven't done so, make sure you reserve your entries with the FanDuel 125K Monday MLB squeeze contest, 25K to first, $5.55 per entry. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. New users get a new bonus as of this month. You bet $5, you get $200 in free bets, regardless of if your bet wins or loses. Terms and conditions apply. Cheese, the musings are free, as we mentioned. That's it for the promos. I know a lot of people are tuning in hoping that I have some like brilliant take on weather. And I assure you, if I did, I would let you know. I don't know. I don't know yet. And I don't know if I'm going to know. I keep thinking that Cincinnati's just going to postpone at any moment. And they haven't. I don't know what to expect. I don't think either of those games are safe in cash. I'll tell you that.
For Cincinnati, what's your best guess right now for when the rain comes in?
Between 7 to 8 Eastern. So they've got these little showers and storms out ahead. The main line comes in between 7 to 8 Eastern. And I could see possibly them trying to delay. But from that point on, it's going to be raining. It'll be lighter rain, but it's still going to be raining after that. And when that line moves through, it's a delay. Like it's heavy. It's thunderstorms. And then back behind that, it's still pretty wet. So I just kind of thought they'd throw in the towel here. And the fact that they're not, I don't know. I'd like to see if there's players out there warming up. If anybody's got any, inside information on what's going on on the field, let me know. In Cleveland, it's going to start dry. And there's this line of thunderstorms that's just holding north. That's just gradually inching closer. I think I'd rather play Cleveland, but I don't even have a strong lean on which one is safer. I don't know what's going to happen. So sorry to suck, but that's, I want to be honest about what I know and don't know. And I don't know.
I appreciate that honesty, because what that's doing for me what it's doing for me is I'm just not playing anybody in the Arizona Cincinnati game. And I'm going to wait to build my lineups until after the show.
Okay. Geez, you got a plan?
So I'm taking everything other than a couple of full stacks out of that Cincinnati game.
Yeah.
I really want to play that Texas Cleveland game though.
Texas was my worst top 3 favorite stack.
Change a ton of everything if we're not playing that. But I'm okay without the Arizona Cincy. I just left a couple of full stacks on either side. And I'm only playing a Hunter Green lineup with a red stack. And that's that.
Okay. We got some boots on the ground somewhat. Steve-O is watching the pregame show there in Cincinnati. So he says, I will bring any reports that he has our way. And appreciate that, Steve. Thank you. Okay. Let's talk about what we're going to do here. I am going to kind of be split. Let's see. Hunter Green started warming up 9 minutes ago, according to a beat writer. I assume that's Cincinnati.
Cincinnati pitcher, yeah. So yeah.
It's a good sign. I mean, that's a good sign that they're going to try to play it, I suppose. Let's talk about what we're going to do here pitcher-wise. Let's try to get through the slate. I'm going to be watching weather. If I have any eureka moments, I'll let you know. As of now, best guess, they start in both locations. They get a delay halfway through the game in Cincy, and I don't know what happens beyond that. In Cleveland, let me just look at this latest. In Cleveland, best guess is that they play.
They're delaying the game 10 minutes.
In Cincinnati?
Diamondbacks and Reds expected to start at 6:50 Eastern time.
It must have just been from a shower that they had earlier that delayed their warm-ups. That doesn't help. 10 minutes, it'd be better to do it 10 minutes earlier than later, but okay. The fact that they're expected to start means something, right? That's important. So I don't think they're going to finish the game without a delay. I'll tell you that. I think they're going to get a mid-inning delay here, and whether or not they finish beyond that, I don't know. So Cheese, enough. I'm rambling. Let's talk about pitchers.
All right. It's a slate with a bunch of pretty high upside with high risk pitchers. Like it's Robbie Ray and Blake Snell are kind of like the definition of risk versus reward. Christian Javier is similar. Hunter Green, if you're playing in that rain game, is similar. Personally, I'm playing Christian Javier as my SP1. I have the most of him by, I would say, a lot. I do think Blake Snell will be the closest thing we have to chalk because of the salary. I don't know what to say other than like he's the very definition of terrible chalk, but it is a great salary for a guy who can strike out a bunch of batters. I'm playing a handful of Snell, but as little as I can get away with. Carlos Carrasco in that same game, I prefer Carrasco over Snell. And I mean, I would say air quotes safer than Robbie Ray, but Carrasco is not great or safe really either. So for the most part, I'm playing Javier as my ace. I'm playing a lot of John Gray on DraftKings because of the salary. Not that he's great or safe either, even before adding in the rain. It's just that when no one is great, I don't really want to pay up for two guys everywhere. But honestly, I think you can mix and match Javier, Snell, Ray, Carrasco, Gray, any way you want. And just a few minutes ago, just because of the weather in Cleveland, I swapped out a couple of John Gray up to Syndergaard. I don't really like Syndergaard, but if Gray gets rained out or rained out a few minutes in, Syndergaard's kind of the only other guy at 7K or below on DraftKings I would even consider. But on FanDuel, I would not consider anyone other than Javier, Snell, Ray, and Carrasco personally.
Okay. TJ, what's your pitching pool here?
So for me, I'm not going to play any Snell today just because I don't think he's a bad play, ownership aside, but it's like where I'm playing on FanDuel, I'm playing 3 lineups. He's just going to be so ridiculously owned that I really would just rather play the Mets on the other side of this game. In the notification here. Oh, the notification was you, Roth. Come on.
Oh, nice.
I'm keeping my eye on Twitter to make sure I don't miss anything. But I got a notification.
I didn't put anything on Twitter that I'm not saying here, so don't worry about that.
Fair. And so I'm kind of the mindset on this slate that you can play literally anyone that the weather will allow you, because I'm not sure anybody puts up a big game. Like, I think my favorite, so I agree, Christian Javier is the top option on DK. If the weather allowed it, my favorite option on DK would be Gray for an SP2. On FanDuel, I liked Green in tournaments, but now that weather is kind of scaring me off. Even so, like, I find it a little bit interesting with Green that, like, he's a really high strikeout guy. He could get 3 innings and strike out 7 batters, and you could be looking at something at that cheap price tag. But I honestly don't even hate the idea of just like punting with Ross Stripling and seeing what happens with my expensive bats, just because pitching is just so unbelievably gross today. So I think personally for me on FanDuel, my top option is going to be Carlos Carrasco, followed by Javier number 2. But I really just like going off these chalky guys like Snell today. It's that's just going to be an X button for me in tournaments.
Okay.
Works for me.
Let's talk stacks. Steve-O says the tarp is on the field still in Cincy. You can't. Can you start a game in 24 minutes if there's a tarp on a field right now?
I would assume not. You would think that's why they pushed it back, is for warm up. I mean, it would have to be coming off in the next couple minutes. I think they can do like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about some of the stacks. TJ, you want to go through what's chalky and what you like? I know you like danger. You like Cleveland, or at least Texas in Cleveland.
Yeah. So the top stack of the day by far, projection wise, is the Blue Jays. They're going to be chalky, but they deserve to be chalky, especially on a small game slate. I really, really like going something like a 5-6, 7-9 stack with the Blue Jays, because those are all hitters who hit the ball, especially against lefties, very, very well, and they're not going to pick up the same ownership as the top of that lineup. Texas was my other favorite. With that weather now, I feel like I'm going to back off a little bit. And the 2 tournament teams I'm really going to get overweight on are going to be the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets. I talked about wanting to X out Snell just because he's playing, he's projecting really high ownership. He's got a ton of K upside, but when he's wild, he's horrific. He gives up walks. He gives up home runs. Not many people are playing the Mets, and a lot of people are the Mets, and a lot of people are playing Snell. So I like the Mets a lot for tournaments. I like the Red Sox a lot for tournaments. And then Toronto's kind of your top team, but the Mets and the Red Sox are going to be my ways of getting different to mix in with my Toronto teams.
Okay. Cheese.
I would say everything the same as he said, but I'm swapping the Angels instead of the Red Sox in that game. But yeah, Toronto's the obvious team. I like the Rangers a lot. If the rain is okay, I like the Mets a lot. I think Houston is going to be so much more popular than the Mets, and it's kind of the same spot. Like, you're just wondering which of these pitchers are going to blow up, and Snell is more blow upable than Ray. Mm-hmm. So yeah, give me the Mets, and then I just like the Angels side of that Red Sox Angels game. Although I like both sides perfectly fine.
Okay, let's go through position by position. Cheese, you can start at catcher here.
Yeah, catcher. Catcher's weirdly strong. There's 2 batters in the Cincinnati game that I liked before. Like Varsho and Stevenson were both in my lineups as one-offs, and I kind of switched off of them. I went Varsho up to Sal Perez, and Stevenson, ideally, if you have a little money, up to one of the Blue Jays guys, maybe Mitch Garver, or down a little bit to Max Stassi. But really, it's a pretty good spend up at catcher day for me. And I don't even mind most of these catchers in stacks on FanDuel.
Okay. Do we come to agreement that we're not playing Cincinnati in cash? Can we do that?
Yes.
Good. Because I think we should do that. I honestly am surprised they haven't postponed this game. TJ, what are you doing at catcher?
Yeah. So at catcher, I agree. It's kind of a weirdly strong position today. If I'm going cheap, I like Stassi. My favorite option, I was with Stevie there on the last show on GrindersLive. He was talking about liking Huff as a punt, and I agreed. However, with that game being questionable due to weather, I think if I was going all the way down, I'd pick Maldonado. But if you can get up 3,500 for Stassi, I think that is your best cheap option. Now, Alejandro Kirk, I think, is the best pay up option. He's a great spot in tournaments. I'd rather just spend $100 more for Danny Jansen, because he's probably going to pick up 1/5 of the ownership just because he's batting 9th, and Kirk has been crazy hot lately. But just having said that, I think I like that in tournaments. And then Salvador Perez is another guy I like quite a bit in tournaments as well.
Takes to first.
Yeah, so taking to first base, same thing that kind of happened last time. Whenever I try and run FanDuel and DK lineup HQ at once, the DK one closes. So I'm going to focus on FanDuel if Cheese doesn't mind making sure to hit the best DK plays. But to me, this is where some of the very best tournament options of the day lie. Vlad Guerrero is going to be the highest owned guy, as he should be. He's just in a absolutely fantastic spot. But the guy who's a pivot off of him that I absolutely love is Pete Alonso. He's playing Snell. I think there's a very good chance he hits a home run off of him today, and I like that one quite a bit. Carrasco's a bit of a reverse splitsy guy, so I don't mind Luke Voigt at first base. Other than that, though, it's more of like a stack position for me. I really think like Jared Walsh, Pete Alonso, Vlad Guerrero, those are my 3 one-off guys, maybe Luke Voigt in tournaments as well. But other than that, I'm really just trying to fill out some stacks.
Jeez.
Yeah, Guerrero's the chalk. It's good chalk. DraftKings, you can pivot to an Angels bat. We got Ohtani at first. I like Jared Walsh a ton at his price on DraftKings, and fine at his FanDuel price. Pete Alonso is probably my favorite, just kind of random individual bat. You don't have to be stacking the Mets to like him. You're welcome to, but I love him. The cheap stuff is okay. Like if you're stacking the Astros, you want Gurriel because he's cheap. If you're stacking the Angels, you might want Duffy because he's cheap. You might want Cordero if you're stacking the Red Sox. But as far as going one off, I really like spending up. Guerrero ideally, but he's chalk, good chalk.
Okay, real quick, did the game getting pushed back 10 minutes extend our lock time as well? Is lock now on FanDuel 10 minutes later?
That I don't know.
Highly
I'm not
doubt
on
it
the
will
site.
be.
Okay.
I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The time hasn't changed. It still says 7 minutes. But I don't know that won't mean that we can't switch out the players of that game specifically. It still says lock is going to be in 7 minutes though. Okay. Going now, it still says that game is starting at 6:40 on FanDuel as well if you go to the player times. So I'm assuming that's going to be our lock time. What I will say quick, since we're not playing any of those guys in cash at this point, I think we've agreed. So as we're running through position by position, I want to quickly say you're playing 0 one-offs from this game. You are not one-ing off anyone. You are full stacking a full 4 or 5 man stack of one of the teams, maybe even both of the teams, or you're not playing it like that you're not playing a one-off in this game. So keep that in mind. I feel like it's cool if we're probably going to go past lock on this show anyways, because there's weather to talk about as well. We got 500 people watching right now because they need the weather, and Roth's the best in the biz. So if we get 200 today, we'll get all kinds of bombs, but I don't want to take too much time on that because we're going to be wanting Roth to talk. We got in the YouTube chat, according to someone in the stands in Cleveland, they pulled the tarp out trying to decide whether they want to cover the whole field.
If they pull the tarp in Cleveland, the game's over.
FanDuel lock just changed.
Yeah. So the FanDuel, I was about to say, the FanDuel lock did get pushed back to 6:48. If they pull the tarp in Cleveland, that game's a wash. They're not sitting through it, I don't think, for 3 hours. So if they announce a late start in Cleveland, that one's gone. And I just don't think I would play either of these games, certainly not in cash. And we'll see what happens there in Cleveland with the tarp, but you may have to full abandon ship there as well, Cheese. But for now, hang on. You're going to walk away and do a little.
Well, the good news is every other game is at least an hour after that. So I could just swap to any nonsense and then just build the lineups later.
That's true.
I'm not going to decide until 7:05 on that game.
Please. Yeah. The longer we get, the longer I can look at radar, the more information we get about the tarp, the better off we'll be. And I know it sucks to wait that late, but it helps. Okay. Geez, I think we're at second base now. I'm making this up as I go and looking at radar.
Yeah. Second base is brutal. You're spending up for something less than ideal, like Story or Altuve, which, I mean, those guys are good hitters, but like it's compared to the spend ups at every other position, these are not great spend ups. The punt guy is this the first of the Duran brothers for Texas. But again, that's Texas. And now we have a chalky punt in a game that may or may not play. So I don't know if I love that either. And other than him, like you're kind of spending up. Like Espinal for Toronto is 3,700 on DraftKings. Like that's too much. Semien again, Texas, he's okay on FanDuel. Pretty much now, if we're not playing Texas, I think it's either spend up to Story or Altuve, or just it's simply whatever's in your stack.
Okay. Second base, TJ, what do you like?
Yeah, so my top guy on FanDuel today, I think, is going to have to be Espinal, just because he's 2,800 there, and I was looking at Duran or Semien, but now because of that Cleveland weather, I'm right now they're kind of lowering in my list. So a guy I really like for tournaments is Trevor Story. Nobody's going to be playing him. You don't even have to stack Boston to play him. Syndergaard is just the absolute worst at holding runners on base, so Story's probably going to steal at least a base today. I like Trevor Story quite a bit as a pay up option in tournaments on FanDuel. And then Espinal if you're paying down. And the last guy I like getting to quite a bit is Jose Altuve at 3,600. That's another guy I think you can play even if you don't want to stack. And I will say on FanDuel, 3,600 Altuve is probably your cash option. But if you can't get to him, I'd go down to Espinal.
Okay. Take us to third.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
at third
real quick, let me point out. Somebody asked about Matt Duffy. On FanDuel, a Matt Duffy punt is fine-ish. And then on DraftKings, he's not second base eligible. So
DraftKings is still locking in 3 minutes now. Cheese, you want to take us through all the DK positions quick?
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because we're not playing in that first game.
Fair. Great point. So anyhow, someone just asked, anyone have stolen base upside for Boston, or where is a good place for that? I think Story is probably outside of Story. If you get Duran leading off, that's a great spot in terms of stolen bases. But sorry, we'll get to QQs after, position by position.
Yeah, so you go ahead and take third.
Yeah, so third base, if we get clear on that game, Jose Ramirez is paying up, is my favorite play and my favorite pay up option. He's 4,600 on FanDuel, but he's just fantastic. I'm now kind of scared to play that as a one-off, but if Roth thinks that looks better in a bit, then Jose Ramirez would be my favorite. If we don't get him, I don't mind the pivot down to Rafael Devers at 4K. Of the Bregman, Machado, Devers kind of price tier there, I do think Rafael Devers is my favorite one. Another guy in tournaments I think is interesting is Bobby Witt Jr. And then Matt Chapman is part of that second half of the Blue Jay stack that I really like as well. If you need to go cheap, Duffy's at the bottom as well, but I'd honestly rather go somebody like JD Davis or Eduardo Escobar. Like I do like that Met stack quite a bit. So for me, it's most likely Devers up top or filling out my Blue Jays or Met stack.
Jeez.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't really hear what TJ said. I'm sure it was wonderful because I'm just making sure I got these Cincinnati guys out other than a stack here and there. To the extent that, why don't we have TJ talk about shortstop and then I'll do both?
Sure. TJ, go for it.
Sounds good. So this is another spot that I love Trevor Story as a one-off, but another guy I love either in a stack or as a one-off is Francisco Lindor. This is a spot that I really like paying up for today. Corey Seager was going to be one of my top options, but that's a Cleveland game, so we're going to wait there. So because of that, this is a spot I really like paying up for. Your punt spots down low are ugly. But your guys up top are really nice. Story, Bogarts, Lindor. Your cash option is Bichette, playing for the Blue Jays, especially now that we're unsure about Seager. So in cash on FanDuel, I think you're just without a doubt playing Bichette. But with my favorite tournament pivot by far is Francisco Lindor.
Okay.
The way you guys will know if I remember to get back to my lineups is whether or not I have a bunch of a guy named Aaron Whitefield in my lineup on DK.
All right. Cheese, what do you want to do here at third and short?
Yeah. So
Rangers, Guardians will be delayed. So Cleveland is delayed. Does that mean we're done with Cleveland?
It's going to rain there till like 10. Did they announce a delay? Or are people just saying that because the tarp is on?
It's officially delayed.
It's officially in a delay?
Yes.
I think it's so risky. It's going to be 3 hours of rain there. So I don't love it. If you want to leave a few stacks in GPPs,
might have to play all the Whitefield and hope I remember to do a thing later. All right. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to swap way off. Like I'm so heavy on Corey Seager, Cole Calhoun in particular, and Jose Ramirez. Like I got to back off a good bit of that.
We would have made some money together if that game was playing today. But those were three of my favorite like mini stack options, one-off options. What I'm only playing 3 lineups today. And so what I'm currently not playing any Arizona, any Cincinnati, any Texas, any Cleveland. That's currently my plan. I say that with no lineups built because I have to adapt now. But I'm currently not going to play any of those 4 teams. If I was running 150, I'd have some stacks that are Texas full stacks with Jose Ramirez as my one-off, and just make sure those hand-built ones are there. But other than that, it's going to just be a lot of Toronto mixing in some Mets, Red Sox, and Angels for me.
I'm going to put a core play on Aaron Whitefield because he's in all my laps. Okay. Sorry. So third base, assuming we're not playing Ramirez now, Bregman and Devers are really good spend ups. The guy that just nobody's going to play, I say nobody's going to play, like we're showing him on, but Machado, I don't think anyone's going to play Machado. So I do like him, but like Matt Chapman, I think doesn't even get that owned in Blue Jay stacks. And I really do like him, and he's a little too cheap. So it's a good spend up position because these are good players. Now, if we're not playing Seager, like Bichette is already chalk. He becomes like all the chalk if a lot of people move off Seager. I'm okay with Bobby Witt in that game. On FanDuel, I like Trevor Story. It's kind of like second. You're pretty much playing a guy in a stack if you're not just spending up to a one-off. But I don't really like the one-off Bichette now that he's going from a little chalk to a lot of chalk.
Okay. I don't know. Where are we in the outfield now, Cheese?
Yeah.
And just final thought: if it's my money, I'm not playing either of these games. If you want to leave a stack or 2 of both of them, cool, but I would not put a significant amount of my bankroll on any of those games.
Okay. And this is where we're getting to the point where like a few of those bats in the Cleveland, Texas game are, I would say, my favorite bats on the slate, but it's all really, really close. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, I can't imagine winning without Cole Calhoun. I mean, that's not reality. Right. I'm probably going to end up with 0, honestly. But hey, let's talk outfield and then we'll check back. I really like Ohtani and Trout. I'm assuming Springer and Teoscar Hernandez get a little more ownership than Ohtani Trout. And I'll take Ohtani Trout. We've lost a lot of the values now. Like that Reds game and Texas had just a ton of the values. So I think Duran. Are we still waiting on a Boston lineup? We were last time I looked. Assuming Duran leads off, like he's now like the mega chalk of the slate. And I don't really love him as a one-off. Like he one-offing just kind of a random cheap leadoff guy. And not that Syndergaard's great, but he's better at pitching than Duran is at hitting at this point in their careers. So I don't love him, even though he's, I would say, the best value. I think you can play – even if you're playing Javier, you can throw like a Jesse Winker in there for a value bat. Gurriel is really cheap. Chas McCormick is really cheap. I like Brandon Marsh and Kyle Isbell now for kind of random cheap guys as pivots off of those Reds and Rangers bats. But we're really kind of at a slate now that doesn't really have anything great.
Okay.
And awesome. Now, if I see a note, Duran is not even playing, which is honestly fine with me. I don't care. I'm going to end up with so many Angels.
Okay. TJ, outfield.
Yeah. So a lot of the same thing on FanDuel cash. I think you're picking 3 of Ohtani, Trout, Springer, Hernandez. And that's it. Like those are your 4 pools, your 4 guys in cash. Personally, that's what I think at least. And then I like the Winker call if you're going cheaper. But outside of that, like I really think you just start you're stacking here. Like I really think it's just filling stacks because it's such a tough spot now without those Texas guys. Because Cole Calhoun was one of my favorite plays. And I'm not going to be going there as much now, but somebody like an Alex Verdugo isn't going to be picking up a ton of ownership. I like quite a bit. As well as Mark Canna batting fifth as a one-off or in a stack is somebody I like quite a bit. And that is mostly going to be it for me in terms of one-off guys. Other than that, it's really just going to be completing my Red Sox, Angels, Jays, and who's the other team I said? Okay, and Mets stacks as well as Houston. Like, never going to not tell you to play Yordan Alvarez. Like, in tournaments, he's probably a great play considering everyone is going to be playing about that Springer, Ohtani, Trout, as well as Teoscar combo I mentioned. So Yordan Alvarez is going to be a very, very low owned, high upside option.
Inside information from a source here affiliated with Cleveland says they're talking about a doubleheader starting tomorrow at 3:00.
It's beautiful. Now, don't tell anyone else for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Exclusive crunch time info. Hit the like button for that content.
And to be clear, I don't know 100% that means they are doing that, but they're having that discussion right now, talking about a doubleheader at 3:00 tomorrow in Cleveland as opposed to playing tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
There we go. So, Cheese did mention a bit of that as well. It does sound like Duran is not going to be in the lineup today for Boston. So don't plan on having him in your stacks.
The old Steele Walker to Aaron Whitefield apply swap. It's like, this is why we play, guys. This is why we play.
This is a dream. It's a dream come true for everyone here. But I don't know where we are in the show, to be honest with you. I've just been looking at Twitter and Radar.
Samesies.
You just been swapping to some guy named Whitefield.
Yeah, I have Alberto Mondesi some labs now.
We've ripped through position by position. We're about 10 seconds away from FanDuel lock, and we've already passed the DK one. We still have over 500 people watching, so I think that definitely means people hoping for the latest news on weather. Hit that like button. We got some more to go. We can I don't want to speak for you guys. Do we have some time for QQs still, since FanDuel is now locking at the moment, and we probably
we do. Once I get these out, then I don't have to finish these lines for an hour.
Yeah, I got nothing to do but look at Radar and hope that it rains hard enough to postpone. Yeah, if you got guys in Cleveland, I wouldn't.
Rangers Guardians postponed.
There you go.
A little too soon, but at least we know.
All right. QQs.
Hang on.
So the one thing I guess I'll say about this, this does make Syndergaard somewhat playable. I mean, I don't like him, and I prefer the Boston stack, but like unless you want to try like Ross Stripling or something, we're kind of out of cheap options.
So having said that, I like trying Ross Stripling. I like I said, it's a gross position. So like on FanDuel today, where he's 63, I don't hate the idea of loading up on Blue Jays and Angels and going down to Stripling. I think he could squeeze out 5 innings with like 70, 75 pitches. He's been a starter in the past, even though he's gone out of the bullpen this year. He's pitched better this year than he has in the past. They're in KC, which is a way better pitcher's park than Toronto is. I don't mind like taking a shot on Stripling, especially just because we're now looking at probably a 4-game slate with some incredibly concentrated ownership at pitcher. Like, I honestly, if you're in a super large field tournament and you're trying to get first place, I think there are crazier things than you can do than play Stripling with some Jays, or even like Lynch with Mets and Boston and Angels, something like that. Like, why the heck not? It's a 4-game slate, and literally all the ownership is going to be to 2 or 3 guys.
We go Stripling, Lynch, Aaron Whitefield, and I mean, how does that lose? So the thing is, now it's like we've lost so many of the punts that I guess I'm a little more okay with saying just play a cheap pitcher and hope you get positive points and spend up on all these bats. Man, I had so much Texas.
So did I. I had them in all three of my teams initially before that update. That last update to orange yellow that Roth put in a while ago, I adjusted, but I had a Texas on all three of my teams before that.
So Cheese, you're basically starting from scratch.
Yeah. So many of my lineups are, I may not have a single lineup that doesn't need to be reworked. It's incredible how much I had. I'm still finding them sitting here.
I have one beautiful one that I don't think will.
Okay, that's the one that wins it all right there. Okay, let's take a few questions and maybe we'll get out of here. Maybe we won't. I don't know. DY says, DKGPP, is Waka a good play, Cheese, with the Angels on an 11-game losing streak?
He is not for me. No, I'm playing Angels bats personally.
Okay. J Sam's Fanduel Large Field. TJ, I've got 2,300 left in the outfield next to Gurriel, a part of my stack. And Trout and one off. Would you mind punting with Adele?
Yeah, if you got Trout in there as well, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. 2,300 though, I think I'd probably go to Kyle Isbell instead, just as another one-off. He's batting second today for Kansas City, and Duran's not in the lineup. That Jackie Bradley Jr. at 2,200, I think, could steal a base or two against Syndergaard as well.
Okay, Cheese. Dan Jan says, would you play? Sorry.
Adele, I like because it creates a mini stack, but Kyle Isbell would be the best projected play there.
Okay. Cheese, would you play Ross over Noah in DK single entry?
I wouldn't. I get it, but no, I would play Noah.
Okay. Let's see. DKGPP, is it wrong to like Canha a lot against Snell, TJ?
No, I love it. I do too.
Steve says, what do I do if Duran is not in the lineup? And didn't we confirm he is not in the lineup, or is that somebody else?
We'd not in the lineup.
Okay.
Probably won't be.
So the question is anyone else cheap playable? This is a question we got on the YouTube. Cheese?
Well, TJ was talking Jackie Bradley, and that's just a natural swap, same team. So that's what you would do.
Great. Okay. Give him a second to get a couple more questions in, and then we'll get out of here. And so now I guess
someone asked in YouTube, is no one on Seattle? The Cincinnati game is in fact starting right now. We're both, I think, more on Javier than Seattle. But in large field tournaments, it's a 4-game slate, and we've seen when Javier is off, he can be off. So yeah, I think they're definitely interesting in large fields. I don't think I will get to them in my 3 teams though.
Okay. DK single entry, you get one lineup, you're making a stack. Cheese, you're trying to win it. Who you got? It was Texas, but it's not anymore.
Probably the Mets.
TJ?
Okay. Been talking Mets all show, and you take my stack. I guess I'll go the Red Sox.
You can agree. It's all right. We don't have to.
I forget this isn't the morning grind where I'm not allowed to pick the same one. So yeah, Mets as well.
It's not part of the interruption. We're allowed to.
We can be on the same team.
Yeah. TJ, would you rather play Duffy to get Altuve with Noah Javier Met stacks DK single entry?
Again, a little sore.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it. I'm just reading it. So would rather play Duffy to get Altuve with Noah Javier Met stack DK single entry?
As opposed to what? I think it's fine. I guess, yeah.
FanDuel GPP, Angels or Met stack? I feel the answer here was the Mets.
I like the Mets a little bit better.
Yeah, those are now my 2 favorite stacks on the slate.
Okay. CLT says, Kansas City stacks, fellas. Pontificate, please. Cheese, care to pontificate?
I do like Kansas City stacks. It's just now we're left with a slate now where, I really like every stack. Like there's just no reason not to play any of these teams.
With this stuff, I think KC is going to be sneaky chalky, because I think they're going to be a lot of the punt guys we see people going to now.
Okay. I got to update my web here, but in the meantime, Cheese, are we back on Ray tonight because Robbie Ray rule is back into effect?
So I touched on this in the article. No, officially the Robbie Ray rule is not back into effect. This is still not pre-2021 Robbie Ray. We're on him tonight on him. He's not my favorite pitcher. I'm playing him because he's better than Blake Snell, and that's it. That's why I'm playing him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys like a Kansas City stack against Stripling for a GPP? I guess.
Like I said, I think they're going to be sneaky chalky, so they're not one of my favorites, but they are a good cheap stack. Yes, right. Especially because the Blue Jays bullpen sucks.
Okay. How many Rengifos is too many Rengifos, Cheese?
Outside of stacks, almost any is too many, or at least mini stacks. Inside of stacks, I think you can play as many as you want because the position's bad. And I guess I wouldn't say you can't play any just because the position's bad, but I only really like him in stacks.
All right. Got a few more questions and then we'll get out of here. BHB says DK Cash 3v3 for you. TJ, I'm coming to you on this. Alfaro Rengifo Springer or Stassi Cronenworth Gurriel?
Second one.
TJ, please say the following. Hang on, wait, I gotta find it because this is fun. No, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. I'll say it the way I say it, and then you get to say it, your way. Trout is about to strike out in a route.
Trout is about to strike out in a route.
How would you really say it?
Exactly like that.
Would you really? There's no boots.
I'm not a boot guy.
You're not like
the odd one maybe comes out because I mumble and stutter a little bit, but I'm not a boot guy.
Okay, well, you just said out, very Canadian. Just as you were defending your not Canadian accent, your oot came out. Let's see.
Most people where I live don't have it, but I teach French. I'm fluent in French and I teach it. So
bonjour.
Yeah.
Oui, oui. And so that's bonjour, where my oohs instead of ows come out a little bit because OU in French is ooh instead of ow.
I see. Je parlais en français parce que j'ai étudié français pour 8 ans dans l'université.
Puppy.
Yeah, so I got a little something. If you're playing lineups on a Fanduel large GPP, who would be your other pitcher if playing Javier in the other? This is Fanduel. You only get one pitcher, so I don't understand that one. You must
Carrasco.
Okay. Oh, 2 lineups on Fan. Okay, 2 separate. I see. Thank you. A bunch of people are asking about Strickland, and I feel like we've discussed him 82 times, but have we not? Would you use Strickland?
TJ's been talking about him a good bit, saying he's playing him.
Yeah.
I'm going to have him in 1 of 3.
I might end up with some now. At this point, I can't tell you at all who I'm playing because I don't have a single lineup built now. At 5,800, he'll end up in a lineup somewhere, but officially I don't like him.
All right. One more question, then we're out of here. It's straight up Salvi or Kike Fanduel single entry Cheese.
I like Salvi.
Stan took my French and said, did Roth just eat some peanut butter? I thought my enunciation was excellent, but I can see the issue. Okay. Hey, we're going to get on out of here with that. So for Cheese, who needs to undo 30 lineups, and for TJ and for our wonderful production crew, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.